Hey there, live like your nail color gals. Does this sound like you? You feel pretty successful in your career, business, and life. Most days you feel on top of things. Then there are those moments when you feel like you've lost your way. You're on the hamster wheel or you're in the weeds again. You're doing your best just to show up. How do you get back to feeling your best and showing up well so that you're thriving and not just surviving? That's what we're going to explore with today's gal pal, Jan Goss. But before we dive into our conversation, have you taken my quiz to determine your nail color persona? It's really super fun and simple. All you have to do is go to livelikeyournailcolor.com/quiz. Then you answer a few quick questions, and in your results, discover your nail color persona. There's 5 of them, your built-in strengths, and how to tap into those strengths when chip happens. Again, go to livelikeyournailcolor.com/quiz. Now let's get talking with Jan.
Tired of so much chip happening? Discouraged by so much downer news? Weary from chronic crisis? Don't let the chips keep you down. Welcome to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast, where the tips of your fingers and toes are ready to inspire you to not give up and to keep creating the business, career, and life you want. In each episode, we flip the chip and let our fun nail color with that crazy fun name cheer us on to remember our strengths, embrace the power of choice, see life as an adventure, and know resilience is only a touch-up or change-up away. Get ready for a good time and a good laugh with your host, Mary Foley.
Welcome back, Live Like Your Nail Color gals. In a world where it seems that most people are just showing up and living with what happens, what does it mean to show up well for yourself, for others, and really kind of why, for what purpose? And I bet you've heard this popular reframe, you can do hard things. I think that's repeated again and again because when we're honest, we really don't want to do hard things, but showing up and showing up well, I truly believe is worth the work. And as today's gal pal shares, it's a huge advantage to living your best life. And, you know, if you're listening to this podcast, you're not wanting to lead a mediocre life. I'm pretty sure about that one. Jan Goss is the principal and founder of Show Up Well Consulting, specializing in personal and professional development. Plus, this is kind of cool. She's a highly respected executive protocol consultant with a reputation for helping leaders. I love this, leaders. And if you're leading your life, you're a leader, by the way, leading in business, leading in your career, but leading in your life. But leading to be great role models, be at peace and truly happy without giving up their soul. Thank goodness. Yes, that's the best part. I'm loving that. Jan, welcome to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast.
I'm excited. I'm living like my nail color today.
Oh,
that's showing up well.
That is showing up well. Okay. So, all right. I want to know what that is, but I first want to know, because I always ask my guests this, what is your nail color persona? I asked you to take my quiz. What's your nail color persona? So what is it and did it nail you?
No surprise. I'm a practical princess.
We're on Zoom right now.
My toes are really fun. My toes are really, really fun, but I am a practical princess.
Oh, and so the description of practical princess, did that nail you?
It nailed me.
Yeah?
Only I think of myself as a queen, not a princess. I think by the time you're a grandmother, you've reached queen status.
You have.
So, yes.
It just didn't go.
It doesn't rhyme. You know, there's no P
well,
and
we gotta
P
have
goes
an
better.
alliteration, right?
Exactly.
So the quintessential queen. How about that? Right?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
And a quintessential queen is always polished. Always. Right? Always showing up well. Okay.
Exactly.
So now here's the thing most people assume. They say, well, if you do French manicures, then it's a white tip. Of course, that's not exactly the case. You could have white, kind of white, silvery white. You could have pinkish white. Some people have gone like neon and really on the other, end of the spectrum, or something very saturated in color. What is your go-to French manicure tip color?
I'm a pink and white girl. I'm a pink and white.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my nails, though. That's my fingernails.
Okay. So, what's going on the toenails? You said.
Oh, baby. That's where we go wild. Because both of those personas are who I am.
Okay, so what's on your toenails? Because I love that you made that distinction. Because so many women, when I say, "What are you living like your toenail color, or I mean your nail color?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't do my nails," because they're naked Nellies. I know a lot of naked Nellies. That means you're naked or naked with your fingernails. You're not, but they
Right.
got they got the wild child or the fun the fun female going on their toes. So there you go. That's living like your nail color too. What about your toes then?
So right now my toes are hot pink,
Ah,
very hot,
hot,
very, very hot.
very hot. Okay.
Yes. And depending on what's going on in my life, if I'm heading to the beach, then I do kind of a beachy color. I might do a tropical color. It just depends on where I'm going to be in the world and what's going on in my life.
Okay. And kind of sounds like not only just where you're going to be, but how you might want to feel when
Sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that what nails are all about?
That's what I'm saying. Yes. It's about your experience. Okay.
Yes.
So since you mentioned pink twice, did you look at that, what the meaning of pink is, and if it resonated with you? And if not, I'll share that with you and you can respond.
I did look at it, but honestly, I can't remember what the pink said, but I did look at it.
Okay. So here, let me share it with you and then you
Please.
react, because you had light pink kind of on your fingers, right? As part of your French manicure, but then you had hot, that's usually words from you on your toenails. So it says that a pink nail color reveals that you are warm, chatty, friendly, and fun. You get along easily with others and make them feel comfortable. And the hotter the pink that you prefer, the chattier you are.
Maybe that's why I'm a professional speaker, because I get to talk for a living.
Right.
It's a girl's dream.
Well, for a girl who wants to talk, okay,
Right.
because that's right.
Right.
So the pink is like, it sounds like, or could be like you show up, you're very soothing, friendly, right? Talkative, might make first conversation, first reach out if you were in person, even on virtual. And particularly as a speaker as well. But then when you really get going, man, you are chatty Cathy. You are all in with the conversation.
Well, it may tell a little something that our executive team, the motto that we have is, if it's not fun, we're not doing it.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
Does that tell anything?
Yes, absolutely.
It has to be fun or I'm not in.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. I love it. This is great. See, so we already know a ton about you, and no wonder in some ways show up well. I mean, and that being your theme. But let's dive into that. I mean, what is your explanation? How do you describe, what does it mean to show up well? Especially, I was thinking in today's world where it feels like so many people aren't showing up well or up at really showing up much at all. Maybe they don't even want to go out of their house, or they don't even want to actually be in person, but also just like emotionally not being there.
Sure. So the question is, what does it mean to show up well?
Exactly.
Let's just break it down. Show is to be seen. It means you have to actually show up.
Yeah, right.
Even if you don't show up well, you have to be seen. You have to show yourself. And up is an elevated position.
Yep.
Well is superlative, better, best. So we actually are seen from a superlative position in life. We are seen in a good light. I know it's kind of old-fashioned, but how about good role models? What about being seen as someone that you could actually model your life after? It's being a hero, being a shero.
Well,
being someone with those qualities.
Yeah, we look like, I look up to that person, right?
Yes.
And I'm short. I'm only 5'2". I look up to a lot of people, most of them.
Hey, I'm 5'2" as well. So we are like twin sisters on that. I get it.
There you go. I love it. Yeah. And sometimes the only people looking up to me are 4 or 5 years old.
The kids. Yeah. They look up to us.
I actually showed up for a speaking engagement one time. Well, it's more than once actually this happened. Now this was, rewind the tape a bit because I was doing a lot of keynote speaking. But at the time on my website, I had pictures of myself. That's kind of common. You want to see what the speaker looks like, but everybody wants to see what everybody looks like. I show up and the meeting planner, first things out of her mouth, "Hi, you must be Mary. Wow, you're a lot shorter than I thought you were online." I dinner. I was like, well, I'll make up for it in some way. And she's like,
There you go.
it was just funny how that was the response. So she must have had some sense that I was this, kind of big, maybe
6 foot tall,
big personality, right? Okay. So showing up well. So each one of those words makes a difference. You got to be there. This is the thing of being of elevating, or at least like aspiring. Don't just be mediocre. I'm hearing like raise yourself up, I don't even call it a game, but be your best self, and do it to the best of your ability. So you say that there's an advantage. In fact, you call it the show up well advantage.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? What's the advantage that you see?
When you learn how to not only show up, and I do think part of it is just a learned behavior. And that's why, even as I approach showing up well, I do it with great compassion. Because, Mary, I wouldn't know what I know if someone hadn't taught me. Mm-hmm. My mom put me through, back in the day, it was called charm school. And she put me through twice because she thought it didn't take the first time. And it probably, I don't know if it took the second time even.
I actually think because there was a lot of chatty talking and it was fun and there were all these women. I think that's it personally. Did they?
Yes, exactly. But when we're talking about showing up well, it really is deeper to me. We have 52 points to showing up well. There's one for every week of the year. So it's all encompassing, but it begins with being authentic. Please be you. Everybody else is already taken. Mm-hmm. It's being in alignment with who you are and who you were created to be. Many times I think when we think about showing up well, it's like, I have to put on a 3-piece suit or something, or I have to dress up. And that might be part of it. There's a time and a place for everything. You don't want to wear a bathing suit to a formal dinner, but it's totally appropriate on a beach. So there is something to be said about the outward appearance. But when we talk about showing up well, we're talking about getting in alignment with who you really are. And if I may say, who God created you to be. So it's about being authentic. Mm-hmm. It's about being present. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
Because most of us either live in the past or in the future.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, this happened yesterday. And I, feeling bad or feeling guilty or blaming or that kind of mindset. Or we have fear and anxiety about the future. So showing up well is about learning to be present. It's about being authentic and present and prepared. That you actually prepare. You think about it. It could be something as small as, it's raining outside. Hello, bring an umbrella. It could be something that simple to look ahead. Just be prepared for what might be coming. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah.
So it's all about being authentic and present and prepared. Those are 3 of the points to show up well. So it's not about playing a game. It's not about just shiny on the outside, because you can be in cutoffs and a t-shirt and show up well. Mm-hmm. And you can be in a 3-piece suit and show up really horribly.
Well, each one of those things are kind of like an inside out job. Like they're what's happening first inside, and what clothes you may be wearing, or if you have the fabulous nail polish or not, or the manicure, French manicure, right? Is secondary, almost like it's a reflection.
It's a reflection.
Yes. There you go. So in your experience, I mean, you work with a lot of clients, a lot of women over the years with this, I'm sure some men too, but what's the advantage of this? I mean, especially today in an environment it can be, well, sometimes on the one hand, sometimes I walk into some rooms or in environments and people are kind of all down and they're withdrawn and they're there, they're doing what they need to do, but there's a hesitancy to trying to show up, to reveal themselves, or to even like be enthusiastic. And then, maybe because they're also just worn out, right? There's that. Then there's other rooms that are, what's going to happen next? And all right, and people want to be uber prepared in the way of the future. What if this happens? We do this. What if this happens? Do this. Or what about this? Oh my gosh, I'm so worried. and those are just two kind of overall buckets or rooms. But there's a different sense of things are going to be okay. Am I okay today? It seems. And I was thinking of this thing of showing up and then showing up well. There's some effort involved. Is there an advantage? Maybe not necessarily against others or comparative, but like for ourselves in navigating our own lives.
Yes. 100% you're on it. You are exactly on it, Mary, because this is about you living your life. It's not about impressing others. It's not about trying to show off. It's about being in alignment with who you are. And we can have skills that actually help us have an advantage in life. Let me give you an example. I'm a graduate of the Protocol School of Washington in DC. So I went to school with ambassadors and diplomats and the presidential staff, and I learned the highest level of training that we have in our country. Now, because I know the highest level of protocols, I can always back down. I don't have to use them every day. It's like I told my kids, you will learn manners. You may or may not use them, but at least I want you to have them in your tool chest. But I will never forget one time when I landed a $2.4 million deal because I knew one simple protocol, and it's this: never clink glasses during a business toast.
Really?
Now, how would I know that if no one taught me?
Yeah.
This is what I was taught, that those who know if you know. And those who don't know, well, they don't even care because nobody knows anyway. But it's like a secret language. So I was at a meeting there. It was one of the VP's birthdays. So they brought out champagne and, glasses to toast. Well, I knew protocol is in a business setting, you never clink. Now, social etiquette is different than business etiquette.
Right.
Business etiquette, you never clink. It's to clink or not to clink. I wrote an article about it one time. That is the question. So we were at this gathering, and there was a gentleman at the end of the table, and his eyes met mine, and my eyes met his. He was holding his glass exactly like I was. We knew not to hold it over shoulder height. We knew the protocols, and he knew I knew, and I knew he knew. It's a secret language. Now, the rest of them were oblivious because they didn't know, so they don't know what they don't know. After that meeting, he wanted to know, who are you? What do you do? It led me to a $2.4 million deal. So don't think that it doesn't pay off to show up well, because it does.
Right.
I can't promise you a $2.4 million deal. You might do better than that. I don't know. That was a really good day. I was really glad I didn't clink, Mary.
But you were also prepared.
Like, oh, thank God I did not clink.
Okay, that's right. But you were prepared. That's another way of saying it. Like in that environment, you knew what you were walking into.
I had the tool.
And you had that tool, and you knew that, all right, now I need to use this because they passed around the champagne glasses. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So here's a real quick pop quiz for you. All right. What are 3 questions that we can ask ourselves to determine, like, if we're really honest in answering these questions, if we're showing up well or not so much? I mean, how can we help to determine, like, am I really showing up well, or am I just kind of getting by and I'm just telling myself, I'm all right, it's good enough and it doesn't matter?
3 questions. Question number 1 is, how well do I sleep at night? So in a world where insomnia is, way on the uprise, can I just tell you, one of the reasons to show up well is self-care, because you really do take care of yourself. When you show up well, you're going to do what you need to do to love yourself so that you can show up well. And when you lay your head on your pillow at the end of the day, there's a sense of satisfaction that, you know what, maybe I didn't hit every mark. I didn't accomplish everything on my list, but you know what? I showed up, and I showed up well. And Mary, I might add here that looks different every day. When I lost my husband 3 years ago, to show up well for me meant that I got out of bed and took a shower that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my best friend
Yeah.
and it was sudden. And, you know, certainly none of us were expecting it. And so I am not minimizing the tough times that we face in life. What I'm saying is you can live your best life every day. It looks different every day. Be kind to yourself. You know, take care of yourself. Start with you. That's very backwards for certainly women in my decade, because I was so trained to take care of everyone else and not take care of myself. Showing up well begins with self care. So, another question is, did I take good care of Jan today? And the other question that is absolutely imperative to ask yourself, and you'll know if you're showing up well, are you happy? When you show up well, you are happy.
Yeah.
Like you feel so good about yourself. It doesn't mean we're perfect. That's the dumbest word ever. It's like it doesn't mean that we're perfect, whatever we think that is. It means that, you know what, I did my best. And yes, I'm growing and I'm learning and I still skin my knees. But I get up and I brush off and I show up and I do my very best. I show up well.
In a way, though, that also means I understand for myself how I defined happy, how I defined success, how I defined that satisfaction.
Yes.
That's key to be
That
able
is
to answer
absolutely
that
key.
question too. Yeah.
It is part of what we call the show up well success system. You have to figure yourself out first, or you'll never show up well. You'll spend your life trying to be someone else for all of your life.
That's really the work, isn't it?
It is the work.
It is the work that no one else can do for us. I mean,
it is the work.
Yeah, it is.
Is learning yourself and loving yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that because it's so much easier to show up well and be our best selves, let's say, now and again, or a few times a week, maybe, you know, it's harder to do it consistently. And to really be able to therefore answer those three questions of that you've just presented of yes, yes, and yes. So I know that you work with women on doing that to get to that point of alignment, you know, that you've said that word several times, to be able to be present and prepared. I would suspect there's a lot about starting with that alignment and that authenticity, but tell us more about the success system, like an overview. I know you can't give away all the secrets, but I mean, really, you know, when I think about, and I say this because I ask all my guests, you know, what's their framework? How did they approach, you know, in my language of live like your nail color, living like their nail color, being fully alive, being clear and conscious about what they're doing, leading their life and not giving up, you know, to create the business, career, and life that they want. And so please tell us about this system that you have, because I really do like this phrase. I want to show up well. I don't want to just show up and get by.
And you do, Mary. You do show up well. I love that about you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you do show up like your nail
you know,
color,
all my
that's well.
As well, because, you know, I can't have slackers here on the other
end. Exactly. Well, so we look at three areas, and I believe with all of my heart that everyone on this planet deserves the best in these three areas. Love, and we aren't afraid to say love in our company. We're not afraid of that word. Health, and that's not just physical health, or it doesn't mean you just look healthy or you look, you know, like a model or whatever. I'm talking physical health, emotional health, mental health, you know, spiritual health. And then wealth, love, health, and wealth. Those three areas we run through this system. It's a 5-step system. It's simple. It's what do you want? What do you want? Now, Mary, my life has fallen apart more than once. Like I'm the queen, me and Madonna, queen of reinvention. I'm just saying, like I know how to reinvent myself. And at one point in time, after a 20-year relationship went flip-flop and I was left with 8 children.
Oh my God.
3 of my own and 5 in foster care. I had 16 eyes looking at me for direction.
Mm.
And my husband at the time was pastor of a church. So I had a whole church looking to me for direction.
Oh.
And in that moment, my life literally fell apart in one day. And thank God that I had a spiritual practice of being quiet on a daily basis. So I would get quiet. And this went on for 6 months of my life, that I would hear this one question: what do you want?
Mm.
What do you want?
So was that freeing or is that torture? Because I mean, that's
Well,
a
here's the
loaded
thing.
question.
I had no idea
Yeah.
because I had spent my life getting everybody else what they wanted. And it literally took me I'm not the fastest kid in the class. Let me tell you, it took me like 6 months for me to really hear the question, Jan, what do you want? And I was like, oh, me? Like me? What do I don't, well, I mean, if I could have whatever I want, well, I mean, I'd like to live by water. I need at least a 4-bedroom house. I need, I mean, I just made this list of, well, I mean, if I'm going to say what I want, here's what I want. Within 6 months, everything on that list had manifested. Everything.
Oh my gosh.
And that is when I learned the power of desire. Understanding your desires. Desire is the answer to the question, what do you want? So that's step 1. Step 2 is purpose. Why do you want it? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you want those things? When you really look into the purpose and you see how pure your heart is and how pure your purpose is, why you want what you want, it fires you up because you have purpose behind it. And then step 3 is the belief. Is it possible? Because if you live in possibility, that's the magic. You have to believe it's possible and imagine it and spend time with that. And then we move into step 4 is gratitude. Can you hold the space for that in advance with gratitude, with appreciation, seeing it done? I've already gone to the end of 2023 and I'm looking back at it. I'm not looking forward to the end. I've already gone to the end. And I'm looking back in gratitude because I've done the steps. And then step 5 is action, but it's not just action. I work with many people who run multi-million-dollar corporations. And trust me, when I come into their lives, they're in action.
Yeah.
But it's a hamster wheel.
Oh,
it's a hamster wheel action. So this isn't just any action. This is inspired, imperfect action. It's when you get the tap, you just do it. I always tell people when they're looking at working with me, if you don't get a tap, don't do it. You're under no obligation to me to say yes to any offering I have. But if you get that tap, do it. Take that inspired action.
So
when you feel that, that urge.
I just want to ask a little bit more about that tap. So is it a physical tap? Is it like an impression on your heart? Is it a thought that just keeps going through your head again and again? Is it where like everywhere you look, oh, a butterfly, a butterfly, a butterfly, it's a sign? I mean, it can probably be more than one way, but how have you experienced it or some of your clients to kind of have that knowing? Because that's the other aspect too, is that kind of ties to me almost in belief. I got to believe that's the direction. That's the thing I should do next. All right. That's the inspired part. Okay. Let me start. Obviously it's imperfect action. I love that part, by the way. I don't have to have it all figured out beforehand, but at least I got to start.
Exactly. And I would have to say it's one of those questions on the multiple choice that's D, all of the above.
All the above. Okay.
Because, we're all individuals. And the one thing that I would say a tap has in common with no matter what method it gets to you is it's a spark. It lights you up in some way. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel happier. What if we only took inspired actions and we actually moved in the direction of things that make us happy? Guess what? You're going to have a happy life.
How simple that is. I mean, seriously.
It's not rocket science.
No, it's not, but it is about opening yourself up to
It
the
is.
first question, what do I want? So that's like an opening, and then
And that's a deep question.
I
It's a
always found
very
it
deep
an
question.
intimidating question because I was like, well, first, I don't know. Like you were saying at that moment in your life when you had these 8 kids and what do I want? And you had been so outwardly focused. And hey, with 8 kids and a husband, and I'm sure the whole congregation, I mean, there's a whole lot. Any mom with lots of kids or in that moment can understand that. Um, and and then if you add a job and a business on top of that, et cetera. But when there's other moments when you're like, I'm willing to answer that question. Like it's not about I can look at I'm okay it being about me and what I want. I've been in that place going, I have a business. I'm sorry, but what do I really want this to be? And then I thought, oh my gosh, however I answer it, I'm not going to be able to change it for the rest of my life, which wasn't true, but I felt the weight. I felt the weight of having the right answer. And what if I don't like my own answer in time?
Yeah.
So that held me back for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have a guide. And that's really my position in life, if you will.
Mm.
I mean, I've been called a guide. I've actually been called an angel. I kind of like that one. A tuning fork, a grounding wire. I love what one of my clients told me. She said, Jan, you help me not break.
Oh, that's a
Because when you're running a large company, and I'm talking a multi-million-dollar
lots
corporation,
of pressure,
there's
lots of
so much
responsibility.
pressure.
Yeah.
And where do you go? Who
Mm.
are you going to turn to? And I am that safe place. I'm the outside eyes and ears
Mm.
to help you continue to show up well, to be a role model for yourself, for your family, for your employees, to keep that, we call it balance.
Yeah.
It is balance, but it's more flow to me. There's a flow. There's a flow, and
Yeah.
you're happy. That is the dividing line. If you're miserable and you think you're in alignment, you are fooling yourself.
Hmm. Well, let's say there's a gal listening right now who is feeling a little miserable and
Yeah.
she might say, yeah, I'm out of alignment. I don't know. But the emotional part is
Yes.
it's a weight. What I'm doing every day is a weight. I'm not happy. I would just even like to have some energy and feel enthused about what I was doing.
Stuck.
Maybe she feels stuck because she doesn't know what she wants or knows what to do differently to get to a happier place. What would you say to her as a first step or action you might do to help move that way? Because I don't think we want to feel bad we're in that spot. It's so easy to get in that spot. And in the world that
Yes.
we live in with so many external circumstances changing that do impact our lives directly, we could all of a sudden have a great situation and then a circumstance happens and then we're like, oh my gosh, right? Well, even like yourself when you with your husband and then all of a sudden, he's not in the picture
Yeah.
and you've got all these kids and you're in one day you said. So if someone is in that place, what's one thing they could do to help move towards a happier place, a better place? They can get
Great
into this
question.
alignment.
Great question. First of all, I send you lots of love, and I'm sending you a virtual hug right now because you don't have to do it alone. It's a journey that you need someone to do the journey with you. It doesn't have to be me. It might be Mary. It might be someone else, but do the journey with somebody. But let me give you something practical that you can start today and make what we call at Show Up Well Consulting, we call them 2-degree shifts. You don't have to do a 180. That's too overwhelming. We work in 2-degree shifts, then make another 2-degree shift, another 2-degree shift. So just do one tiny shift at a time. Don't be so hard on yourself. So this one shift will change your direction. Who wants their pilot to be just 2 degrees off when they land? I don't.
Yeah.
And the longer you go off kilter, the worse the landing will be. Like we've got to get back in alignment. So let's just move the needle in the right direction so that you'll have a safe landing. Here is tool number 1. Bookend your day with gratitude. Bookend your day with gratitude. Start it like those very first moments when you come into consciousness. Just stay there for a moment and breathe. If the last 3 years didn't teach us anything, it taught us to be thankful for breath. Be thankful for breath. Be grateful for breath. So if you'll just lay there and breathe and get in touch with your breathing and be grateful, you can breathe. You were given another day. Start there. That's good enough. I'm good with that. Just start there. And then before you go to bed at night, the last thing, instead of thinking about everything you didn't get done and everything you need to get done, if you will end your day, bookend your day with gratitude, find what made you the happiest that day and be grateful for it. Maybe you saw the cutest little puppy. Maybe you got to see someone you love. Maybe you moved forward a little bit on a deal. It could be a tiny thing. You may have gotten to see the sunset or the sunrise. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but what made you feel happy that day? Go to sleep with that on your mind. This is the beginning of showing up well.
And that makes me think of what you said before, those 3 questions. I said, well, how can you figure out, if you're showing up well? And the first thing you said was, how well do I sleep at night? And you talked a lot about self-care. So this gratitude is a form of self-care. Is that
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is physical, mental, and spiritual health. And there are many studies about that. The power of gratitude and what it does for your physical body, your physical health, certainly your mental and emotional health, and your spiritual health. Because I encourage you, not only when you begin to be grateful, like I said, these are tiny shifts.
Yep.
But be grateful, and then be grateful to whom? Who are you being grateful to?
Yeah.
So it's just expanding us a little bit more, just 2 degrees at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those who feel like they're like, okay, I'm not necessarily in that place right now, which is good. I'm grateful for that. I love what you also said about gratitude earlier, which is I've already thought about till the end of 2023. So, we're now in the early part of 2023. And so this is about zooming forward. And you had said having an appreciation in advance.
Yes.
So that would mean to me that if you have an appreciation of what's in advance, you have some aspiration. You've been able to answer that question pretty articulately. What do I want? Maybe what do I want this year? Right? What do I want to see be real, be true by the end of this year? You've answered that and you're already thanking God for that.
It's the 5-step program.
But
I will say this, and this sounds a little heady, and I'm going to brag on it because it's bigger than Jan Goss. This system has never failed.
Wow.
Never. To bring health, to bring love, and to bring wealth. Those 3 things. When you run your love life through this, you're going to come out, and even if the one person you fall in love with is yourself, you are going to be so secure in love and so surrounded by love and feel it on a daily basis. That will make you happy. You deserve to be happy. But sometimes we have to take out the trash. You got to take out the trash to make room for everything else.
Well, sure. You talked about love being one of those 3 big areas. I love that you can look at your love life and have these 5 questions. You could, the system, your health of all kinds, go through this as well. It's kind of a way to kind of break it down to be able to also answer, I think, that question, what do I want? Which is the first one. In an area might be easier to answer than like all of life. All right. And also wealth, which I think you mean by that money and asset is, because we can have health can be a wealth, but I'm hearing in your system that it's specifically a financial wealth. That
I
is.
love this question.
Oh, okay, good.
I
Okay.
love this question. I had a grandmother who taught me about true wealth. And she used to gather us up. She would gather up all her grandchildren and she would hug us so tight. And she would say, I may not have a lot of money, but I sure am rich. And
Oh,
she is the one who taught me about true wealth. Now, yes, we definitely cover wealth in terms of financial wealth. I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better.
yeah.
It's just better.
It is. It's a whole. I'll
I've
deal
been
with the
both.
problems of wealth. Yeah.
Yes. And life, when you run wealth through this system and you understand the purpose you have behind it, and you get really clear about what you want and why you want it, and is it possible, when you can hold that space and gratitude in advance, and then you take that inspired, imperfect action, it's going to come to you. It has never failed. And that is such a bold statement.
It is.
It has never failed. We do a day long, it's like a VIP day is what we call it, on the energy of money. And we look at what energy you have around money, because you're the only one in your way. Nobody's standing in your way, Mary. No one's standing in my way. I was a single mom with 8 kids. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, really. I
Like,
mean,
stop whining to me. You can be a winner or a whiner, but you can't be both. You got to make up your mind.
that's a quote right there. You can be a winner
Yes,
or a whiner, but you can't be both.
exactly. You have to make up your mind. You can be a victim or you can be victorious. You got to make up your mind. So, and I say that, just know, many nights I cried, many times I cried, but because of the circumstance I was in, pressure is designed to press us up to the next level, to get us out of our comfort zone and to press you up. Next time you feel pressure, see yourself going up, show up well. Because if we don't, we get depressed. Then the pressure presses us down. It's our choice. We have the power of choice. How am I going to show up today? Nobody can take that power of choice away from you. Nobody. No circumstance, not when your husband dies right in front of you, not when your other husband. Listen, Mary, I've been married 3 times and 2 of them died. So I don't think I'm the best bet on the table, honey. I'm just saying. It just
you're not picking
like,
good expiration dates.
But I've been through a thing or two in life, as we all have. I don't think I have the corner of the market on any of that. Our whole world has been in what I call it's like God's global timeout. It's like everybody's going in timeout. Everybody's going in timeout, because we need to think about our value system. We need to think about our priorities. We need to think about, are you grateful for breath? Because death, Mary, is our best teacher. Death will teach us that every single one of us has a certain number of days on this earth. And I don't know how many I got, and neither do you. Death is our best teacher, because we've all had people who left way too soon, in our opinion.
Right.
We've all had that. We don't know that number. So when you begin to let death be your teacher, to say, you know what, today, we don't know. We don't know when that day is. But guess what? I'm breathing now. That's why when I wake up, I'm grateful for that breath. And when I go to bed, I'm grateful for that breath. Because you know what, Mary? I got another day. And maybe I didn't show up my best today. I did my best. But maybe I can do a little better. But tomorrow, if I get breath, if I wake up alive, then I'm going to determine and set my intention that I will show up well, not just for myself, but because when I show up well, I can use my gifts and my talents to shine light and help lift others up.
That's so well. This is really inspiring. I mean, I'm listening, going, oh yeah. I mean, these are things that I've thought of. I've tried to live, Here's one of the things I love this podcast, I was thinking, because I get the honor and the opportunity to talk to so many women who are sharing from their own life experience the same core message, the same
Yes.
like it's, and when you hear something again and again and again, yes, different language, yes, sometimes different steps or systems or aspects of it, but you hear it still again and again, and it resonates in you, and then you not only know it's true, and you see it in your life, it's true, but I think the thing is that just because we may know it and have experienced it, we need to hear it again.
Agreed.
We need to hear
Agreed.
it in another person's life
Yes.
again, and who is
And
not.
thank you, Mary. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for highlighting women. Thank you for bringing the message through different eyes and different facets of the same diamond. It's called life.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that you have a fave quote
I
on your
do.
website.
I
And,
do.
you said love is one of the big three areas. The
Mhm.
way you're just talking right now, and about how this system has never failed. This
Mhm.
quote is from First Colossians 13:8 in the New Testament, and it's simply three words: love never fails. Why is that your favorite quote? How does it inspire you to show up well?
You know, I am so in love with love. I'm such a romantic. I'm so in love with love. Love is the most important thing. And just put a period. You can have everything else. And if you don't have love, your life is empty. Oh, it can be a flash in a pan here and there, moments here and there, of course, where you're having fun. But at the end of the day, it's empty. And when you do have love, and I'm talking love can be, I know people that their pets are like the love of their life. Like hey, my dog is always happy to see me. I like that. It
Yeah,
makes me feel loved every
that's
time I
true.
walk in the door. So it doesn't have to be like a romantic love, but the most important love is to love yourself, because you are going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. You're going to wake up with you every day. You can go anywhere in this world and you cannot get away from you.
Yeah, that's true.
So why not fall in love with yourself?
Mm.
That way, love is with you every day and it will never fail you. It will always make you happy. Always. Love never fails.
Uh, I hate to say I love it, but I do.
We're not afraid of love in our business. We'll say, I love you. We'll say, I love this. We're not afraid of that word at our consulting firm at all.
Yeah. Well, there's so much depth to love. There's
Mhm.
there's simplicity and there's complexity, right? And it's
Exactly.
not always this warm, fuzzy, thing.
Mhm.
Can have that positive emotion. I think overall for me, when I think about love, and is that, love never fails. It makes me think about truth. Truth
Mhm.
never fails. It is always uplifting. It is always the
Yes.
positive
Believes
side
the
of
best.
life. That's
Mhm.
right. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, we could keep talking, but we can't because we're almost out of time. But I want
Oh,
to ask something that it's a little bit of a shift. Um, and that is, I always ask my guests, all right, given everything that we've talked about, if you could create a nail color name to inspire us to show up well every day, what would that name be?
you know, when I think about that, there's a couple of things that come to my mind. Obviously, the number one color would be show up well.
Yes.
That would be the number one. And the other thing that comes to my mind is polish up.
Ooh, polish up. I like that. So tell me a little bit more about the polish up. What came to your mind, an imagery or a thought of definition of polish up?
Well, actually, I was thinking about what the things that I learned, like for an example, at the Protocol School of Washington in DC. When you polish up, it opens doors.
Mm.
It's a little bit of effort on our part to take time to polish the nails, right? It
Mhm.
takes a
Yep.
little time. It takes some effort. It takes some money. You got to have a little skin in the game. But is it worth it for how it makes you feel and how you present yourself to others that I really do care about myself?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm showing you that I care enough to take care of myself. So that's what comes to my mind.
That's great. Thank you. That's
That simple.
wonderful. Hey, for those who would like to learn more about what you're up to, get in touch with you, what's the best way they can do that?
This may be a shock because I do have ways on my website. It's showupwell.com. Of course, you can always connect with me there. But I want to give my personal cell phone number.
Oh my
I
God.
want to give my personal cell phone number to anyone who would like to walk this journey. I have a 5-day immersion coming up at the end of this month where we actually go through these 5 steps. It's 5 days.
Hmm.
And it's a commitment at noontime every day, noontime Central Time. So it depends on where you are in the world. But I want to invite you to take a journey or find out more about the journey to show up well. You can reach me at area code 512 577 8479. That's 512 577 8479. And if you will text me your first and last name and just put the word success in there, I'll know exactly who you are. And I want to connect with you. I believe in true connection. I believe in old-fashioned phone calls. I believe in actually connecting with people and getting to I want to know you. I want to know your story.
So I'm going to put your phone number and those instructions in the show notes. So if
Thank you.
someone wants to follow up with you on that and reach out. But I am curious. So this is a 5-day immersion. Just what's a quick
Yes.
overview? It sounds like because it's going to be virtual. So if we
Yes.
don't necessarily have to fly or drive to where you're at, give us an overview of what this looks like.
It's simple. It's 5 days. We're starting on February 27th through March 3rd. It's Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, and that is Central Standard Time. And I'm going to teach you the system that never fails. The 5-step, it's a proprietary system, the Show Up Well success system. Day 1, we do step 1. Day 2, we do 2, all the way to step 5, so that then you can do it for yourself. And you can bring all of your love issues, your health issues, your wealth issues, put it through the system because you deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
You deserve a good life. If you show up well, if you don't show up, I can't help you. But if you want to show up, I can help you.
Yeah.
I can help you show up well and live your best life every day.
I love it. I love it. And you're the guide. You just walk us through. And I think
I
that's
am the guide. Nothing more, nothing less.
we have to show
Exactly.
up, right? And then we have to
Yes.
really show up by being present. So thank you for
Yes.
that. And that
You're welcome.
explanation, I will, as I said, put all this information in the show notes. I hope that there's some gals who are listening who go, I'm going to put on some polish up nail color and I'm going to show up with Jan. That sounds like a good plan. Thank you
Good
again.
plan.
This has been fun and we'll do it again.
I would love to. And Mary, thank you for all that you do to make the world a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
And now for the after party I call Flip the Chip, where I take a few moments to highlight something my gal pal shared that can help us all flip a challenge or a difficulty that's holding us back into something more positive that helps us move forward. What I want to highlight today are Jan's 5 steps to showing up well. These are 5 areas, each with a question to determine what you need to do in the current moment to show up well. The first step is about desire. Ask yourself, what do you want? Don't limit your answer. Tap into what you really desire. Step 2 is about purpose. Why do you want it? Your why behind your what has the power to keep you knowing and going. Step 3 is about belief. Is it possible, this thing that you want? If it isn't, What are you assuming is true that's holding you back? In other words, what are you believing is absolutely can't happen because of this? And question that assumption that's holding you back. Step 4 is about gratitude. Can you appreciate it in advance? Can you appreciate this thing that you want to have happen, this particular aspect of success in an area of your life, like 6 or 12 months from now? Like it's already done. Step 5 is about action. Will you take inspired, imperfect action? When you get a clear sense of your next step, will you take it even if it feels awkward or sloppy? These are all simple, powerful questions, perhaps even a little intimidating. If you're feeling stuck, start with making what Jan called 2-degree shifts towards happiness. Answer the question in the smallest way you can and still take a step forward, because small steps add up to a big difference. Of course, you can also use your nail color to cheer you on by simply putting on a new nail color and giving it the name Polish Up, as Jan suggested, so that every time you look at your fingers or toes, you're reminded that your efforts to show up well can open doors in yourself and with others that elevate you or your situation. You can make good choices to create the career, business, and life you want, one step, one nail color at a time. Look forward to being with you next time on the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast. Ready to live and laugh more? Know a friend who could use some of that too? Then subscribe at livelikeyournailcolor.com or your favorite podcast app and share this episode right now with the person who popped into your mind. Together, let's flip the chip to be stronger, smarter, and happier.